Temptation. We face it every day. There are a lot of relatively trivial things that tempt us, though. By relatively trivial, I don't mean to minimize their importance, though. The temptation to eat an entire pint of ice cream for some people is intense and can have terrible health consequences, especially for a diabetic. But most of the everyday temptations we face do not hold a candle to the major temptations we see in the Bible. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. So far this week, we've seen two major kinds of temptation. The first is to try to claim equal standing with God. That was the real temptation facing Adam and Eve when they ate the so-called forbidden fruit. The second temptation followed almost immediately in that same story, the temptation to blame others for our actions, or at least to implicate others. When God asked Adam whether he had eaten the forbidden fruit, Adam's answer was most telling. He said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me the fruit from the tree, and I ate." See, Adam admits to eating the fruit, but only after blaming both God and Eve, whom he does not even call by name. This second kind of temptation has another element to it also. Not only do we blame others for tempting us. The devil made me do it, we say. Today I want to suggest a third kind of temptation, the temptation to assume power for ourselves that does not belong to us. It is much like the temptation to be like God, claiming for ourselves equality with God, but the temptation to claim power is a little different. Let's see if I can draw the distinction clearly. To do it, I'll go back to the story we read yesterday, the story of the temptation of Jesus after he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. Let's just focus on how Satan tempts Jesus. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But Jesus answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, "All these I will give to you if you will fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Did you hear it? In every case, the real temptation was power. The power to change stones into bread. The power to have angels wait on him. The power to rule all the nations of the world. That's temptation. And as it turns out, a pretty fair number of the more specific kinds of temptation we face are manifestations of this one. Sexual temptation, for example, is often more about the desire to hold power over another person, to own another person, than it is about sexual desire. So it's no accident that the devil's pitch to Jesus involved the temptation to take and exercise power, and in some cases, power that was Jesus already was entitled to. One of the great ironies of the church is that so many of its leaders over the ages have spoken using pious language even as they have succumbed to the temptations of power. Without naming names, both the history of the church as well as contemporary Christianity are littered with stories of leaders who sought out power for its own sake and misused it, all the while hiding behind the thin veneer of religious language. Power may be the most tempting thing out there for us. Dangle it in front of us, and we will almost always surprise ourselves with how quickly we abandon our own ideals, how quickly we sell out our souls and sell out others. It's powerful. Tomorrow, the temptation of status. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.